story that has to do with CPS. Her father is in jail right now, going to be serving a sentence for being accused of sexually abusing children. And so we really want to get into this because these are false allegations and things that need to be addressed. And I would like to share her story as well. But before we get into the mix, I always like to bring our Heavenly Father in because it's paramount to what we're going through as we're fighting a lot of evil during these times. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll share her story. So dear Heavenly Father, we come before you now, and as always, just thank you for all the many blessings that you give us. Thank you for this opportunity to come before the people and to share information with them that they may not be aware of, but that they need to know in order to understand what we're facing here, and that there's many families that have had crimes perpetrated on them as though they are criminals, Father, and we need to bring light to these situations so that people can see that the system that is supposed to be set up to protect us and bring justice, that it is inverted and it is doing anything but that, Father. And so we just ask that you would guide us through this conversation and give us the words to speak so that we can share exactly what the people need to hear, Father. And may those that are listening be ones that need to hear it and feel compelled to also share this and get it out so that we can change the trajectory of things and start being the light in this dark, ever-darkening world. And I just thank you for Christina and all that she has gone through and is continuing to endure, that you would just build her up and give her the wisdom, strength, courage, and endurance to continue on this journey that you have laid out before her, Father. And I just thank you for her courage to come forward and to want to share her story. And so I just thank you for this opportunity, and may you just guide us through this and just bless all those that are listening and those that aren't, and just continue to shine light on the path that you would like us to go, Father, so that we can correct course and bring you back into the forefront of this time and space, so that we can turn away from all of this spiritual wickedness. And so just thank you for every moment that you give us in order to do that, Father, in your precious name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
So Christina, I just would like you to as you feel comfortable, go ahead and just from the beginning of when things started to take place before you lost your children, when the allegations with your father came forward, and kind of what's transpired up until this point.
So this all started in 2012. My father was being accused of sexual molestation on my brother's then stepson. He had claimed that my father had sexually abused him after he was performing, I guess, a sexual act on his little brother. So when his mother confronted him, he had said that, it was that my father had sexually abused him. And because of that, that prompted a CPS investigation. And an anonymous phone call was called into CPS saying that there was 4 young girls living at my parents' residence, and that prompted another investigation to open up, and they came to my house wanting to speak to my dad and whatnot. And then I was living in Tijuana with my 2 younger girls. My 2 older girls were going to school here in California. They would come with me on the weekends, but because they were there at my parents' house, I guess CPS found it, they had to remove the girls from the home because my dad was being investigated. However, we were brought into the CPS office, and they had us create a safety plan. The safety plan was that my dad was not to be at the house by himself with any minors, and that an adult had to be present at all times if there were any minors. So we could work that out. We had, my dad went to go stay with my uncle at my uncle's house. He would stay the night there, and then in the morning my mom would pick him up, and then he would go to the house. My mom was always there, so we didn't have any problems with that. We were fine with it, just as, until the investigation was continuing. However, the CPS worker went to my daughter's school and was asking the girls, "Oh, does your grandpa sleep there?" And the girls, they didn't know of any of this going on, so they assumed that my dad slept there because when they would fall asleep, my dad was there, but they didn't know that my mom would take them to my uncle's house, and then when they would wake up, they would see my dad, so they assumed that, yeah, he slept there. And because of that, that is what prompted the CPS worker, I guess, to put a warrant in to remove my oldest daughters from there, because according to them, we failed the safety plan, but we didn't.
Right.
And so they removed my two older ones. I was in Tijuana, and I got word that they had removed them, and they asked me to come to bring my two younger girls, and because they wanted to question them and interview them, and they said they would not remove them from me or anything, just wanted to interview them. So I said, okay, fine. And right away I crossed the border, maybe like at 1 a.m. I crossed the border, and then I got home like maybe 2 o'clock. I got home, and maybe 5-10 minutes that after I got home, there was about 7 sheriffs that showed up and with the warrant to remove my two younger ones. It was just it's just so, I mean, I get so mad at myself, because I felt like why didn't I do anything or fight for them right there, but
it's also a new situation, you
Yeah.
can't be expected to just know what to do. These aren't situations that, you find yourself in often, so you know how to react. So, I mean, don't beat yourself up.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I just felt like I could have done. I know I couldn't have done any more because it's the authority and everything, the cops and everything. So my girls, they took my girls the next day, and I've never had any type of interaction with CPS before this, so I didn't know how they run, how they monitor, how they run their whole program. I didn't know anything of it. So I was assuming in my head that, I was like, I'll get the girls, tomorrow, I'm just going to go to court tomorrow and I'm going to get the girls back. But little did I know that I was not going to get them ever again. And, they basically told me that next day at court that I wasn't going to get them until another 3 weeks. And that was that was the worst day of my life, because my daughters were, they were my whole schedule all day long. That's all I did was I was taking care of my girls, taking them to school and everything. So then they took them away from me, and it's like they took everything from me, and so that was as that went on through the whole this whole CPS incident, issue, whatever. They were also investigating my dad at the time. My dad was being very cooperative, going to the station, speaking to the investigator, providing anything that they wanted. They even did a lie detector test on him. They did. They went to the house, I don't know how many times, to talk to him. And
real quick, I want to go back to when it was reported how they got that it had to do with your dad. So the young boy was caught attempting to perform a sexual act on his younger brother, was caught. Mm-hmm. Was it by his mother?
Yeah.
And then what did she say to him that brought forward your dad being a suspect?
She had asked him where did you learn that from? Who taught you that? And she started, I guess, apparently listing names, saying did I ever do that or something? Did Raul, which is my brother, did he ever do that? And he's like, no. And then she's like, did your grandpa do that? And he's like, yes. And then she's like, your grandpa Roy? And he's like, yeah. Mind you, it's not his grandson at all. And he never called my dad grandpa. As a matter of fact, I remember my brother making Andrew call my dad grandpa. My brother always wanted to, I don't know, make them part of the family, or I don't know. But my dad was always like, don't force him. Just let him call me by my name. He doesn't have to call me grandpa. But so that was one thing that was very just a red flag for me, because he never called him grandpa. And
he also didn't report him as an individual. It was he was being asked different things, and that was just someone he selected.
Yeah. So it wasn't this wasn't a time where he said Mom, I have to tell you something. Right. Something's been happening. No,
this person's doing this. Mm-hmm. It's kind of he got caught and then needed to say someone.
Yeah. Right. And so that's what happened. And when she when she heard him say that it was her the grandpa or whatever, she, I guess, took him, her and my brother took him to the hospital to do, I guess, a rape kit test, because apparently when this happened, it had happened like maybe like a couple days before, I guess, before. So then that's why she took him to the hospital and had that rape kit performed on him, and it came back with no findings of any type of
Sexual.
and so this, when this all first started, it was just like one incident. It was just one incident in the basement. I just remember this very distinctly from the reports, that it was one incident. It was in the basement, and that my dad just did these nasty, ridiculous acts on him, supposedly, and that after that, my dad told him not to tell anyone, because my dad was going to call the police if he told anyone. Yeah, it was just like, it was just crazy when I heard all this stuff. And they also, after they did the rape kit test on him, they also did like a social worker, like a forensic interview on him, where he's talking to the social worker, and they recorded it. So he did mention in that recording that my brother would, I guess, apparently make fun of him, that he's gay, or he was gay or something, and he didn't like that. He didn't like that. My brother would tell him that, and so, and he would say that he learned these acts from according to my dad, and so then after that, they also did a, let me see. Oh, I'm sorry. Then after that, my brother had went to my parents' house. Asked. Well, I don't know if asking. My dad had said he was mostly accusing him of doing that, and so my dad didn't. He was like very upset that he was being accused of this, and he, right away called for a family meeting. Since my dad was friends with his grandparents, which is my brother's ex in-laws. So that's my dad's friend of 60 years. So he's like, I need to have a family meeting with them and stuff. And they did. They had a family meeting, and my dad was like, that is not true. Like, we need to clear this up. That's not true. And Arlena, the mom, she said that, oh, okay, I'm not going to call the cops, or I'm not going to tell the investigator. And so we were just like, because this was like we've never gone through something like this, like with them accusing my dad of something. Mind you, my dad's never been in jail or arrested. And
how old is he?
My dad, he's 88, so he'll be 89 this year, and never been arrested or a criminal record. So this is his first arrest. And so after that happened, the girls had already been removed from me. So sorry, because I have all this, it's like complex, but the girls had already been removed, and they were still trying to do the investigation on my dad. But I think maybe within a couple months, like this happened in June 2012, the girls were removed September 2012, and then January 2013 was a grievance hearing that my dad had, where CPS conducts this grievance hearing, giving someone an opportunity to say, to go against this child abuse list, to not list their name on the child abuse index list. But still, he was still found guilty, or I don't know how they call it, because it's like CPS's own hearing. But then the investigator had reported saying that they were not going to go forward with the case because it wasn't going anywhere. I guess they tried to give it to the DA a couple of times, but the DA didn't want to pick it up. So then it just basically, it closed. The case closed right there. This was in 2013. My daughters are still in foster care. At this point, they're still in foster care. I fought for them for 5 years. Until they just They were not. I mean, I tried my brother and my biological brother. We tried having them placed with my biological brother and his family, and he didn't have enough room in his house. So my dad, and my daughter's dad, they built an addition to the house, making 2 bedrooms and a bathroom, so that way it'd be, big enough for the girls to be there. But after doing all that and everything, the CPS was like, no, because it was built by their grandpa. and then because there was no permit in process. I don't know. It was just a bunch of, so they didn't place the girls with my brother. And then, that was kind of our last hope for the girls being placed with family. So then they just said that they were going to terminate my rights. And they were going to terminate my rights because the girls had already grown this bond to their foster parents, and they didn't want to break that bond up. So they just took my rights away
and broke your bond.
Yeah, and straight. Yeah,
it's not funny, but
no,
it's so egregious because it's like you're breaking this bond to sacrifice for that bond.
It's like upside down world. I'm telling you. And so then, after that, that was in 2000. So 2015. That's when I lost my rights in 2015. Oh, let me just back it up real quick. In 2013, I'm sorry, no, it was 2012. So a month after, because the girls were removed September 27th, 2012. So then it was Halloween, October 31st. And I had unsupervised visits. So I had the 2 younger ones. They came with me. They had their costumes and everything. So then I was waiting for my older ones. I was supposed to get my older ones as well. And it's funny how the foster parents didn't bring the girls. And I kept calling them, and they didn't answer nothing. And so my plan, I already had a plan in place. I had a plan in place that I was going to take my girls and take them to Tijuana, where I was living. And so the older ones didn't come, but I took my younger ones, because I already had them. And it was in a moment of just desperate, and I was just like, okay, my older ones, my mom can get, my mom to get them, and then she can give them to me when she gets them. That was in my mind. So I did that. I had taken the 2 younger ones. I took them with me to Tijuana. We were over there in Tijuana, but, my girls, they love their sisters. They just love their sisters. They kept asking me about, where's Letty and Karina? When are we going to see them? When are we going to see them? And it was just over there. It was getting crazy. And my mom was like, you just need to bring the girls back, because they said that they're going to adopt Letty and Karina. They're going to adopt them out, whether you're here or not. And I was like, oh my God, because my mom, they didn't want to place them with my mom because of my dad. And I was like, so I had to bring them back. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take them back, and I'm just going to do everything, follow their rules or whatever. And then I can get all my girls back. So I told my younger ones, I told Kaylani and Serena, I go, okay, we're going to be separated again. And she's like, again? And I was like, I know, Mommy, we're going to be separated, but we're going to be separated so we can be together again. She's like, okay, Mommy. And she was so good. My Kaylani, she was acting like the big sister to her little sister, to Serena, because she was so little. She's still a baby. And she's like, we crossed the border, and they had told my mom that they were going to arrest me at the border and stuff and everything. I had an uncle pick me up just to make sure everything was okay, but they didn't do nothing. Like, they didn't arrest me or anything. I just crossed back. And I took my daughters to eat, and then after that I took them straight to Polinsky's, and I voluntarily told them that they were going to go over there. I told the Polinsky staff about everything, and the next day I had court, and they told me they were not going to they were not going to hold it against me that I had taken my daughters, because the judge said that he understood that I acted under a motherly instinct. And I said yes. And then I said I just wanted to wipe my slate clean, and I just want to start from the beginning and just, do what I have to do so that I can get all of my girls, placed with me. And yeah, I went through the whole CPS hurdle that they make you go through and everything. I appealed it. I appealed the case. I won it. I won the appeal, and they sent the case back to the trial court, but basically just so that they can affirm that they were going to still keep them. That's when it came out about sexual abuse allegations from my daughter's father. And I was never told on this until that time. It's been, I guess, it was almost like a year that the girls had been with CPS and everything. Girls had never mentioned anything, but they apparently mentioned it at their therapy session.
Which is that EDMR stuff we were talking about, which is very dangerous in itself.
Yeah. And so now they had that, and they were getting, my appellant attorney was, she was just helping me, supporting me, telling me to get ready to have because the girls were going to come back to me because I had won the appeal, that they basically had no jurisdiction on removing my daughters, because we were residents of Tijuana at the time. So yeah, I was getting ready for the girls and everything, but then they just came back with that. And so they affirmed it, that they were not gonna place the girls with any of my family members or anybody to do with us, Mm-hmm. So then after, so the girls were removed, they didn't have contact. We still had visits and stuff. After they terminated my rights, I only had one visit left, the last visit, which they didn't want to give to me. I had to basically call the social worker's voicemail every single day until she actually gave me a time that I can see my girls for the last time. And then after then, the only one who maintained contact with my daughters was my mom. So that's the only type of communication or anything that I would get was through my mom. I was very grateful for that, that she had communication with them. And I am very grateful for the parents who adopted my daughters, because of the fact that they even let my mom talk to them, and they felt that it was important that they know their biological family and stuff. So I was really happy with that. However, they still didn't want to have me talk to them though. Right. But, and I was fine with that as long as my mom had, as long as that there was a connection to the girls. But and then
they went to Canada, right?
Mm-hmm, they moved to Canada. So this in 2017. So 2015 is when I lost my rights. 2017 is when they got adopted out. So 2017, when they got adopted out, they moved to Canada. That's when I decided that, okay, well, I'm going to have to do something with my life. So, because I don't want my girls, they're going to grow up and then they're going to be like, Mom, what'd you do? So I went back to school, and I never planned to go back to school. I was never going to go back to school. But at this time, I wanted to go to school so I could have some type of, just to show something for my daughters and for myself. And I went to school and I graduated and I got my associates in accounting. And all this time, my daughters still have communication with my mom. They would have their video visits. They would even have visits. Sometimes the family, they would come over. They took a trip, a 7-day cruise, I think, to Mexico. And so they passed by here through San Diego. So they arranged a visit with my mom. So I really like the fact that they would do that, the parents, the Canadian parents, that they would do that for the girls. And so as time went on, then I have my daughter, Karina. She was, I believe she was 15, 16. She was just being, I guess, very rebellious over there in Canada. And I guess she was just wanting to come over here. She wanted to come with me. Their parents were like, hey, we got this student, or I don't know, do you want her, would you like her to go back? I was like, of course I would want. I was like, my doors have always been open for my girls, and apparently they didn't like that much, that I would say that my doors are always open to them, because they, I guess, to them, it's like if I would encourage it for them. But I mean, I just wanted my daughters to know that they're like, I never gave up on them or anything. You know, I never wanted this to happen. So I just wanted them to know that my daughters, and you know, we're always here, and that they had a family who loves them. You know, so then Karina was able to come over here. Karina actually, she found me. She messaged me on Facebook one day and was just like, because I would always talk about how I'd be like saying "fuck the system" and all this stuff, and so she asked me something. It was along the lines of, what happened with the what if the girls didn't. What if your daughters didn't think that you fought for them? And I was like, oh, and I don't know why I just had this feeling. Her name said Karina on her Facebook, but it didn't have a picture. But I just felt it, like I knew it was her, and I was just like, because then she started asking me like, "Oh, do you have any kids?" And I was like, "I have 4 beautiful girls," and I think she told me that she was testing me to see if I would say if I had kids or something. And I mean, I could never lie. I could never say that. I don't have any kids when I have 4 whole little girls. Yeah. I told her, yeah, I have 4 girls. And she's like, oh, when's their birthdays? You know, she thought I had forgotten their birthdays. And it's crazy. It's funny, though. But she thought that I had forgotten about them. So then we connected, you know, and from there we started talking and just I was sending them pictures and everything. And the parents didn't know that she was talking to me. And then I guess eventually I don't know if she told them or they found out or something. But then that's when they had asked me if I would be willing to have Karina to come over here to live with me. And I said, of course she can live here. She can, you know. And yeah, they let her come over here, and it's a very different life over here. You know, over here where I live it's a different type of life from what they're used to over there in Canada. It's very different. So she got to see that, you know, Karina got to see that. But, you know, my Karina, she was the one who never missed a visit. Of all of my visits, she never missed one. The CPS is very like evil in a sense, where they're asking the children if they'd rather go to a birthday party or if they'd rather go to your parents' visit. And of course kids naturally are going to want to go to a birthday party, you know. And but Karina wouldn't. She'd always say she wants to come to my visits, so she would always come to my visits. And Kaylani would tell me sorry. She's like, I'm sorry, mommy, I didn't come to the visit. I was like, no, it's okay, baby. I was like, that's fine. You know, I want you to be happy wherever you want to go. I want you to go. I was like, don't worry about me. I'll always be right here, you know. And so I mean, we went through that. Karina came over here, and then let's see what happened. We're already in 2020 and 2021. My brother got out in 2021. So in 2022, my mom passed away in June. She passed away in June 2022. My dad was arrested in August of 2022. So before this, when Karina came over here, so she came over here like in 2021, and the Canadian parents had told me that an investigator had called them to speak to the girls. He wanted to talk to the girls, and you know, the dad was telling me that the Canadian father was telling me, oh yeah, that the investigator says that they have a slam dunk case, and that, you know, they wanted to speak to the girls and stuff. And the girls spoke to the investigator, but I guess the investigator was getting frustrated with my daughters because according to them, they were saying that my daughters weren't cooperating, meaning they weren't saying anything that was in their favor. Right. And my daughters were like, because apparently there's something, I guess a foster mom said that my daughter was molested by my father. My daughter said that's not true. And then and she said, look at the person who told it to you, like it's a foster who's has had their license removed.
Right.
How is that credible?
So it was a place they were prior to the adoptive
Mhm.
parents. Right?
Prior, yeah, this was the
Right.
foster family
Right.
before the adoptive one. So the investigator was, I guess, frustrated with the girls, so they didn't want to talk to my daughters no more. And then that was in 2021, and then 2022, my father was arrested, and then they come to find out there was a total of three victims, alleged victims, and it was there. So the first one is the alleged whatever victim is. I don't know. Am I supposed to say their names?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I mean they were there in trial. So it's Andrew.
Oh, right now,
Yeah.
though? But they're not.
No,
Not anymore.
no.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not gonna. I mean, whatever.
And then the second victim was his sister, Michaela, and then the third one is Carmen, which is best friends with Arlena.
Which is the mother of this
yes,
first
the
victim.
mother of the
Alleged.
of the two alleged
Yeah,
victims.
right.
So yeah, so then that's when we found out that there's all these victims here, and it was just it was
a decade later.
yeah, because we're in 2022. This all started in 2012. So this all came about, and that's when this like our nightmare like just relived again, because it was like everything was going good until 2022, after my mom passed away. And I mean, we haven't even had a chance to grieve my mom, and mind you, my dad and my mom, they were married for like 50 years, and it's just been, my dad is very, very strong. I'm very proud and happy to be his daughter, and I'm gonna support him. CPS has always told me that I was wrong for supporting my dad, or I said this one statement that they always seem to bring it up in the reports, and it's where I said that I would back up my dad 100%, because that's my dad, and I know my dad's never abused me, my brother, no one. He's never abused anyone. And from what I know, or from what I've seen, that a person who has these tendencies or whatever, it's not like it just starts like when they're like 70 years old. This is you're gonna see red flags like
all along.
Yeah,
even things with you and your brother.
Yeah, even with me and my brother, we've had so many. Our house has always been like a house of when the family, when we had families that come from Mexico and they don't have nowhere to stay, they would usually go to our house. Our house was bigger, so we had extra rooms and stuff. So they would come and stay with us. So we've had so many different families, kids so people of all ages come through our house all the time. My dad also was very involved in St. Francis, in the hospitality ministry and baptism. Him and my mom just were very, 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 they would always just be helping out at church. And so that's where they're very known over there. Everyone really knows my parents. So when this all went down, it's just been like I don't know, it's just been, it's so heartbreaking because of the things and the ugly things that they say about you, and that they're in submitted as facts on the record and stuff. And like, if you read the reports of what they say of us, it's like people who know us are like, that's not true. They know that that's not true because they know us. They know my dad, they know that that's not true. I could not tell you why they would be lying about this, or even saying any, I'm not saying that they're lying, but I'm definitely saying that my dad definitely did not do anything, any of the acts that they're saying that that my dad committed. And all of these incidents that happen with these alleged victims and stuff happened at my house in Vista, where everybody was there. Everyone's there. My family was there. What would happen is that every weekend, my brother and his wife, his then wife, because that's his ex-wife now, but they would go to our house every weekend with their kids, and we would basically have like carne asadas, at our house and stuff. Or we would even do things. We'd go somewhere. We went to Knott's Berry Farm. We would go everywhere with all the kids, And the fact that this happened is like, it's so sad, it's really sad. Like, we were all happy, all of us happy being everyone together and stuff. But there's just a lot of things, I don't want to go too much into it, but Arlena's a very vengeful person, and she has her own reasons why she's vengeful towards my brother. And I don't know, like, some people can be very vengeful and do some crazy things, and just to the point where something like this can happen, So we went to trial after 4 years, because he was it would be 4 years in August, but he was arrested in 2022, and we just barely went to trial in March of this year. We hired a lawyer, supposedly the best lawyer here in San Diego County for these type of allegations, and it was just like a total shit show at the trial. It's like if we didn't have an attorney,
right?
It's sad to say, and I'm really, really, it's just really disappointing. It's not even the whole money thing of having to pay however much money I had to pay for that attorney, but just the fact that he didn't do anything. He didn't present my dad's side of because there's 3 sides to every story. There's like that side, and the truth. So, and the fact that it was only one side that was presented, and so just a lot of holes in the stories and in the case. And I thought it was easy to point out, but maybe it's because I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what they do or whatever, but just by him not bringing in the witnesses or the experts that were needed to prove my dad's innocence.
Right. Well, let's go into that a little bit, because the fact that the allegations that the later 2 alleged victims had brought forward, talking about him, allegedly putting his erect penis on their back and arm and things like that. But your dad has had a prostate
it was
removed, right? And so tell us about that, because those are things that should have been brought up that would prove those allegations to be false if he therefore could not get an erect penis.
I gave the medical records to the attorney and everything. My dad had multiple times, has said to the investigator, to the attorney, that he had this prostate removal surgery like in 2002, I believe it was in 2002. And according to these alleged victims, this happened in 2012, in 2000, and I think 2011, I believe, making it impossible to commit such acts. So the fact that they didn't even bring a medical expert to prove that is just also devastating, and because if they would have brought the medical expert, he also did suggest that a suggestibility expert be called for, to be a witness. However, he didn't. He told me I sent the money in too late, because I sent him a payment for the suggestibility expert witness, but he told me I sent the payment in too late, and that the expert was not available. So, and I was like, okay, well, can we get another one, or no? He's like, if it makes it any easier, the attorney was saying, I just had a rape trial that I just won last week, and I had an expert witness there, but the jury told me that the expert witness had no weight on their decision.
Like, that's always going to happen. You know what I mean? It's like, that may just be a single case. Like, come on.
No, for real.
Like, you're not doing your job.
I know. I was like, okay. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I guess I normally don't even bring expert witnesses. So I just, I guess just cross-examine them, because I mean that's all he did, cross-examine the witnesses. And I felt like, yeah, I just really felt like it wasn't. And my dad even felt that as well, because he told me, he's like, he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything that I told him. He didn't like, and he didn't. He also knew, the attorney. He knew firsthand from Karina, because my daughter, she went with me to the trial, and she told him that what Michaela was saying was not true, and that that my because there's this point in time when Michaela is stating that my dad was in this tent with them and stuff, and just doing all these just nasty sexual acts while all the kids are in there. Okay, that my dad's doing this. And my daughter's like, that's not true. She's like, he wasn't even in the tent. I was there. And so the lawyer didn't
How
even...
big is the tent too at that point? If there's like all these people.
Yeah, no, for real. Yeah, there was all and then the fact that I guess apparently I was there too. Like I was around there with Arlena, that they could hear us, and that we were just laughing. It's just so like the stories that they told up there on the witness stand should just be like almost criminalizing, because you're lying under oath, you know. And yeah, and the attorney, knowing that, he still chose not to call them. I don't know if it's maybe because it was already too late and we were already in the trial, it was already happening. But yeah, he never called. So he never called my daughters as witnesses. And I feel like if he would have done that, or the expert witness, the verdict definitely would have been different. Because the jury would have had something else other than just hearing whatever they're saying, what the alleged victims are saying, and the jury's not hearing any version of my dad's story.
Right. So
so they just basically went with whatever the DA put on, and the DA straight put on it was a straight show, you know, and just had, and you know, I mean, I'm not gonna talk about the alleged victims, how they performed on the stand or anything, but it's just like, I can't believe how people will actually just go up and lie. I mean, you're under oath. I could never do that. So,
well, and the concern, I think, is that the reason why it started is because he was performing or attempting to perform sexual acts on his brother, and seems like there is a predator out there that nobody's addressing, because that he didn't learn that from no one, but he gave information probably out of fear of not really wanting to say who it actually is, you know, because he didn't even want to say it anyway. It's just like he was kind of put into a position where it's like, you don't want to get in trouble, so you need to give something, you know what I mean, and so I just find that interesting that they didn't ever kind of question the reason why they named your father, because it's like, if he came forward to his mom and was like, oh my gosh, Grandpa's touching, you know what I mean, or whoever, Roy, you know, whatever he really would call him, then you could be like, oh my gosh. But it's as though it was like a situation that kind of forced him to regurgitate some name, and for them not to look into that again, like there's someone else out there victimizing someone, and it could be very well in that boy's family. You know what I mean? So it's like, just even that in itself, and like we were talking about before, it's very, like, it isn't a common thing. It happens, but it's not as common for predators to do both sexes. Like, they usually favor one over the other. And again, it doesn't mean like your dad couldn't favor boys and still be with your mom. Like, that happens, right? But it's like, for them to intermingle in those, I just find that interesting, because that's not something, again, it happens, but it's not like, usually they have what they like, you know?
And another thing to point out was, like I mentioned earlier, is that this was all based, like, in 2012, this was only one incident, right? In the basement.
Right.
At trial, oh my God, it was like new information came out. They had never mentioned this before. At the preliminary hearing was the first one. They had never mentioned any of the information they said on the preliminary, because they started, like, it's like if they started adding things, you know, adding supposedly more allegations at the prelim, and then at the trial they still did at the trial as well. They like still added, and I was just like, oh my god, this is. I mean, it was like so. I mean, I was laughing because it was like so ridiculous that I couldn't believe that can actually happen. Like, I thought there was like some type of rules we have to follow in the court and stuff. Like, you can't just be bringing
submitting
stuff
all the time. Yeah,
submitting stuff.
I mean, technically,
like, yeah, but it's just like, so. I mean, because I can't. I mean, all the stuff that they said that it happened in my room, it happened in my parents' room. This happened, and the thing is that each room was like a charge of like 25 to life, you know, and it's just, it's not like unfair is not even like the word for this. It's just like,
well, so tell us, how long did your dad get?
So then we went to sentencing this week, and they sentenced him to 135 years.
Repeat that.
135 years.
And he's how old?
And he's 88. And it's just, so, you know, definitely filing an appeal. I was trying to find an attorney that would take on his case so that way he could have done an ineffective counsel claim, so that they could have like another jury trial. But I was not successful in finding an attorney that would take the case. And so then my next step would have been just to wait for the appeal. So that's the route we're going. That's the last legal route that is available for my dad. I'm very scared for my dad when they move him, only because I mean, I know, you know, with those type of charges, you know, you will be in risk of harm. You know, yeah, you can be in a certain yard or whatever when you're protected, but I mean, transferring them and stuff like that, and you know,
I mean, even a guard,
yeah,
you know, it's like anybody who felt like they wanted to get justice in some way.
Yeah,
which normally is good.
No, yeah,
I'm not in situations like this.
I'm definitely all for that, and yeah, I mean, this is just, we're just hoping to go with the appellant attorney, and my dad is he has a lot of faith in God, and you know, I do too, and he was just thinking, I think he thought, because he was actually under the impression, like he was still, I think he was under the impression he was going to get out on the sentencing day because of the probation. You know, he saw the paper that said that he was going to, the date of his release and stuff like that. But that was just kind of something that's like kind of protocol for them, for probation to go, I guess, after you're found guilty or something. So he
because they're going to release you from probation.
Yeah.
Right. So he's thinking that you're going to release me from
jail. Yeah, that's what he was thinking. Yeah. So, and I asked the lawyer too, I was like, are you sure my dad understood like exactly what's happening? Because it doesn't seem like he understands. And I mean, I'm not the one wanting to break the news to him, but like, I thought that the lawyer was supposed to be making sure his client understands. Yeah. But he's like, yeah, your dad knows. Like, he knows that he was found guilty. And I was like, okay. And so now we're preparing for his transfer, where he's, you know, who knows where they're going to transfer him. I hope they don't transfer him far. And also just hope that my father's very strong. He has a strong-willed mind. He's very strong-willed and very positive. He's always, you know, he's 88 years old, so he's been through so much stuff. He's gone through so many different life experiences that he's shared with me, and he always tries to find the positive in it, even if he's facing a situation like this. You know, he's even told me like, Christina, I've learned so many things just being here, and I would have never learned them if I wouldn't be here. You know, so he's just taking it day by day and just seeing how, you know, he's just going to see what's up for him on this next chapter. Right. You know, and and I just try to make sure I always I talk to him every day, and because I'm not able to see him since they don't
Allow visitors.
yeah, no, they do allow visitors, but some reason they don't they haven't approved my visit, so I'm not able to visit him. I'm gonna see what is where they send him next to see if I can visit him there, but they don't allow visits here at the Vista jail for whatever reason. They won't allow me to see him. Sometimes I mean, I always am very thinking like, it's always some type of coordinated conspiracy, but dang, because, trying to make sure my dad has no support or something. I don't know. That's what I was thinking, but I just make
They
sure.
do that.
Yeah. And so I just make sure I answer his phone calls, and I just talk to him every day. And
In fact, earlier he called.
He calls earlier. He calls me all the time. I tell him to call me all the time. I don't want him to, I know that I'm like his only lifeline, and really keeping him, sane and just not wanting to do anything, like I don't want him to hurt himself or anything, but I don't fear on that. I know he's very, he says, what God has in store for him, if it's for him to die in there, whatever, he's already at peace with that. So, I mean, I'm fine, with him, being in there. It's just me trying to get him out.
Yeah. Well, you've done such a great job, and I'm so sorry I couldn't be there.
No,
we kept trying, and then it was like they were picking the jury and stuff like that. But I want you to keep me abreast of what's going on, and we can as time goes on and the appeal happens, we can have you come back on and talk about it and just keep sharing, and even things with your girl, if your girls ever wanted to talk about anything, this is a space that they can do that if they wanted to.
Okay.
Not necessarily about him, but maybe about their situation too.
Yeah.
If they feel like they wanted to, share a perspective of things that maybe other people don't see.
Yeah.
But I just think it's so important to talk about these things, because it's like, there's so many times when it's crazy because abuse will happen and nothing takes place, right? Like it continues and people suffer. And then when there are times when it's not actually happened, there's punishment that comes that's unwarranted. And so I like to, well, I don't want to have to, but I like to, because it's important to show the injustices like that and how flawed our system is, so that people can really understand what we're dealing with. You know what I mean? Because it's like we've been indoctrinated into believing that the system is here to help us. And it's like when, you even have your children removed from you and your rights terminated, which again, like, only what God ordains no man can rip apart, but they still potentially do it in their own way. And, it's like, you didn't deserve that to happen, and nor did your girls. And I just feel like, these stories need to be told so that people can see things for what they are, not what they perceived them to be because of what we've been told. And they hide it so well. You know what I mean? So it's not something that is out in the open, which it should be like this, so that we can talk about these things and people can go like, oh my gosh, I totally had a misconception of what like CPS was. Are they really protecting kids? Because when they're faced with protecting them, they don't. But when they claim they are, they're actually traumatizing them and committing severe detriment upon them. And, it takes a lot of courage to like come out and talk about this. So I'm so thankful that you reached out to me.
Yeah. No, I'm very happy that you even provided this space for me and for what you do, is just I wish I would have known you, but back then when I was in 2012, I was very, I remember even making posters about my daughters. I told them I made posters about them saying that my daughters were illegally kidnapped and stuff, because it does need to be talked about more. So that way everyone does become very aware of, their rights, because you don't know what to do, or you don't know how anything is happening until it happens to you. And then that's when you're just like, oh,
thrown into it, like into the lion's den, and you don't know what to do. And you're just like, I mean, it's more like the deep end, and you're trying to tread water. It's like you don't know how to swim, but you're doing your best. And they tell you, like, you want to just listen to them, because you're like, oh my gosh, if they tell me that I will get my children back if I just do this, then you're damn straight I'm going to do it. right?
Mhm.
But then it's like you find that once you do that, they just keep pulling that goalpost further and further back, and it's
Mhm.
like, at what point am I going to be able to get close enough to touch it? And it's like, never.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You're going to think that you are, and we'll make you believe that you're just like an inch away, and then boom, it'll move a mile away.
Mhm.
And so you just never are able to accomplish what they want, but they have to keep you busy so that they can do what they need to do to fit the criteria, like we were talking about, and, you know, accomplish their tasks. But it's never what's in the best interest for the kids.
Mhm.
But they say that it is, and that's what's so
It's like the upside
devastating.
down world. I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
right.
Mhm.
And I always say that too. And you know, I don't know, would you like to add anything? I mean, we could keep going.
No.
I just feel like we've been doing good, and I want to give you an opportunity, like, you know, maybe some things that you've learned that you want to share with people.
I just think that one thing I think parents should really do is learn your rights, because we have so many rights, and I did not even know we had so many rights as parents, as even individuals. But definitely learning your rights and asserting them. Asserting your rights, because I feel like we could have asserted our rights when the investigator came and was like taking pictures of the rooms and
Right.
stuff, and we didn't have to let them in, and so definitely asserting your rights. And I just thank you again for allowing me to share this, and I'm definitely gonna open it up to my daughters, giving them an invite if they want,
Yeah.
just to share their perspective, because everyone can share their perspective, because we've been all affected by it,
Yes. Yeah.
differently and stuff. And even though this happened and stuff, when my daughters got adopted out, my mom did say it was like a bittersweet. Um, you know, I mean, here, like we're out here where we were living and stuff. I mean, it's for girls. I mean, it's very expensive, everything. I'm just very happy and grateful that my daughters were adopted by a family that did, does love them, and provide and can provide, that is one thing that I was been grateful for all the time. I did have maybe a couple people tell me, oh, why are you gonna give up on fighting for the girls? You're not, you're gonna just give up. But it wasn't even giving up. It was just like I just came to a time of acceptance, and prayed to God and said, okay, if they are not for me, just please do not separate them. I just did not want my girls separated. I wanted my girls to be together, and they are. And I love, they're very close with each other. Like they, even though they're two different dads, whatever, but they're blood sisters. They don't think of each other as half sisters,
Right.
none of that. So I just love their bond. I love that they have a really strong bond with each other, and I'm okay with that. If they're not with me or whatever, I'm just happy that I even have a relationship with them.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be their mom, per se to them, and they don't call me mom, but that doesn't bother me either.
Yeah.
I'm just the fact that they call me or something, or they want something, or want me to take them somewhere, I'm fine with it.
Well, I think what's beautiful is that the two older ones have come back,
Mhm.
and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's just really,
Yeah.
sorry.
No.
But like, that's just shows like how good God is, and like that they can't separate that, no matter how hard they try. And like, I feel like a lot of kids like would want that anyway. Like they kind of seek to find like, where did I come from?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like who am I made from? And I just find it beautiful for them to have done that out of their own, want and desire. And
when after the hearing of the termination rights, my lawyer told me, Christina, don't worry, they're gonna come back at 18 years old. They'll come back. She's like, they always come back. And I was just like, they're not gonna come back, like at that point, at that moment, I was just like, the world sucks, everything sucks, they're my girls are gone, but no, within like 3 years she was looking for me. But I was so happy, and I was just I mean, I'm not perfect either, and I'm still always, I'm still learning with them. And, I still, I'm happy that where we're at right now, even though we've gone through all, the separation and stuff and everything. And, but the fact that we're still here, that's the main thing, is that, and that they came, and for whatever reason, because I know my oldest, Leticia, she was applying to go to school. It's funny, she was applying to go to university in LA and stuff and everything, and I had told her, why not go to the one here in San Diego? And no, that's like too close or something. But it was so funny because the one that she got accepted to was UCSD, so but it worked out good too, because she's doing her engineering class, so she's very, very happy in there. So and my other daughter Karina is going to school as well. So they're both going to school and thriving. And my next daughter Kaylani will be graduating actually next month from high school. I'm not sure what college she's going to go to or whatever, I don't know, but and then my youngest, Serena, is 16, so then she'll be next in high school in her senior year.
Yeah.
So the last I would just want to meet my two other, not meet, but reconnect with them. Again, not trying to, take them away from their family, their Canadian family, but just, just to know them. But I just pray and just wait one day for them, and then that would be kind of complete.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's like the older ones had more, it's like you're just in their head all the time too. And that doesn't mean the little one, but it's like, I feel like at a certain point you occupy that space again. Right now, like they're kind of just kids and pray. But at a certain point, I feel like they'll want to just, they'll be drawn back to you. I feel like it's almost like a magnet.
Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah.
So thank you so much again, Audra.
Oh my gosh, sis, thank you. I'm just so glad that we did this and finally had the opportunity. And so you just got to keep me posted, and we'll again bring you back so that we can talk about what happens with the appeal, and just, give me updates on your dad. And I just encourage everybody to pray for him and their family, and just, sometimes that's all we can do, and like share this and get this story out. And I just encourage you, if you guys have anything that you want to share, you can always reach out to me, and I would love to share your story and just bring more light to all of these dark things that happen. The bearer of bad news, but it's so necessary. So, and you guys can reach out to me at 619-678-1442 or, on social media as well. But I just thank you guys for joining us. I hope that this has given you some insight on more the way the system works, that is flawed and it's not doing what it should. And as we say, it's inverted. So, I just encourage you guys to, keep looking into that and opening your eyes up to, what we're really dealing with, so that we don't get confused and, believe that these predators are here to help us when they aren't. Because it's more dangerous. It's like, be more aware and cautious, I feel like, of things, as opposed to closed-minded and not believing that this kind of stuff could happen. I mean, I wish it didn't.
I know.
But I just thank you so much. And so thank you guys for joining us, and join me next time where I bring you more truth, love, light, and a little bit of darkness in between, and all of the good things. And as always, stay classy, San Diego, because it's never a dull moment.
Never.
Okay, God bless you guys.
Bye.